Welcome back to the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network. We're brought to you by Yak Gadget. For all your fine kayak fishing accessories, go to yakgadget.com. Pelican cases, coolers, and lighting. Go to pelican.com. And the 153 Bait Company. For all your hard and soft bait needs, go to the 153anglers.com. Now let's get this show started.
Hey everybody, welcome to the brand new show, Advanced Kayak Angler. I appreciate you tuning in to the first episode. And so first I want to start with just kind of giving a little background of why we're doing this. I've been doing the paddle and fin. I've been with them for 2.5 years and been on the reel down the whole time talking about tournaments. That's great. I love tournament fishing. That's still my deal. But this is kind of, I want to do something a little bit different and kind of branch out. I think for me personally, I want to do this because locally I do well, top an angler of the year, win a tournament, at least one tournament a year locally, and always do well. I'm usually more the finesse grinder type, but I'm definitely haven't had the success I want nationally. Like I got 18th in the Pickwick Bass event a couple of weeks ago. So, and that's just kind of how it usually goes for me. I'm usually not on top. I do well, but not on top. So this is kind of going to be partly my journey of finding out, taking that next step to do better, and hopefully take you all along for the ride and see if we can learn some things together. The noob show has always been so good with tips and tactics and things like that. And I thought we're not going to overlap and do the same shows, but maybe kind of go a little bit more in depth on some stuff, but that's such a great show. So hopefully this will complement it, and it won't be every week, probably every other week. We'll see what the schedule is going to be like, but I appreciate y'all listening. So this week we're going to be talking about knots. Hopefully it won't get too boring for the first show here, but 3 people we're going to have on the show tonight. And first we have Chuck Wise. That's kind of my partner in crime. We fish together a lot. And Nick Huddleston. We all three, the two of us stayed together. I totally forgot on Seminole earlier this year for the Hobie. And we also have Mark Edwards. He's having some technical issues, but we thought we'd go ahead and get started. Hopefully he's able to jump on here in a minute. He's got an Android phone, so don't buy Android. There you go. But yeah, thank y'all for being on the show.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having us on the very first show, man. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. So if people don't know quickly, well, not quickly if you don't want, tell people who you are, and so they, tell them. I guess.
I'll make it quick. My name's Chuck Wise. Been kayak fishing, man, maybe 8 to 10 years. I started in a little 10-foot academy special, and then now I'm in a Titan. Pretty sweet. I fish local. I fish a few national events, and I'm also a part of the KFL Hammers. That's short for me.
Yeah, Brain's a brand new daddy. He's got like a 2-month-old, something like that now.
No, she's a month, 6 weeks, I think. Yeah, a month and a half. So brand new.
Yeah, little bitty baby.
Cute. Oh yeah.
And Nick, you've been around a long time, man. Tell everybody about yourself if they don't know.
Okay, yeah, my name's Nick Huddleston. I'm located here in North Carolina. I've been kayak fishing 6 years, since 2015. Started off as just the pond hopper with a Cabela's kayak. Then I got into the local tournament here with Queen City kayak bass fishing and kind of grew on that. And then over the last couple of years, I've expanded out to some of the national events, mostly Hobie. Last year I qualified for the Hobie TOC and didn't do very well in the TOC, but still had a blast. I think it's one of the best national events run around. And then, so that's pretty much it for me. And then we have our first baby due here in September 5th. So kayak fishing
nice.
Slowing down for me for a little while.
Yeah, well, congrats, man.
Thank you.
Enjoy it, man.
And both these guys have big brains. what, Nick, you're going to school for computer engineering?
Yeah. I'm a veteran. I got out a few years ago and took the GI Bill route, and am using that to get my bachelor's in computer science.
And Chuck's a robot engineer.
Yeah, I went to Auburn and graduated with an electrical engineering degree, and now I work with robots and cameras and all kind of stuff. So yeah. Also, I was in the Boy Scouts, so I know knots.
Hey,
See,
Yeah.
I did it for one. I was at Wolf's, like a Bear Scout or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Whatever the lowest one is. The only thing I remember about it, we did Pine Box Derby, and we had this really big fat kid, and his name was AJ, and we went to the same school. And like, to put on your patch, they held you upside down back then. I don't know if they do that anymore. This is Mississippi. We do things a certain way, I'm sure. But they had to hold you upside down, and they couldn't hold him upside down because he was so heavy. So they quit that. They quit doing that at the time. Maybe I'm aging myself, and there was like, he was the all that. But yeah, that's the only thing I remember. I didn't do it for long. I guess I didn't make it to the Weeblos.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So yeah, we'll just I figured, I have no idea how long this is going to go. With the reel down, we'd always do 1 hour shows, try to do something like that, but we'll try not to make it too long. And I figured we'd just go down the categories. We'll start with braid to lure. So a lot of people most people are going to use braid for at least some application. So for me, braid to lure, 100% of the time, I'm using a Palomar. I know, that's maybe the standard of what everybody uses, and maybe we all use the same one. I don't know. We didn't really talk about it before, but the Palomar, I use that because I don't know if I've ever broken one, but yeah, it's super easy to tie, and that's kind of going to be consistent with all the knots I tie. I usually tend to do the easiest ones that have the least fail rate of me tying it, especially being on the water. So I want to tie a super easy, simple knot, and one that's recreatable and one that's, dependable. Chuck, how about you, man?
I tie the improved clinch knot for my braid. Yep. So
Great.
frogs, spooks, all kind of top waters. Punching's different. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, for basically my frogs and spooks, improved clinch knot, and I guess the reason why, that was the first knot that my dad taught me how to tie for fishing, and I can literally tie it with my eyes closed, upside down if I have to, and when the pressure's on, you need to change baits or whatever. You need to tie something that you can tie fast, and like Dan said, it's got to be a dependable knot. And for me, I haven't broke anything off on that improved clinch knot for the braid.
Very good. Nick?
For me, I definitely use the polymer knot a lot for braid as well. But top water, like chocolate milk top water, something where the braid isn't really going to affect the fish that much. I'm using like a loop knot for frogs, usually spook, and then also like a Rapala knot. Sometimes if I'm just in a hurry, I can quickly tie it and throw it together. It's kind of like one of those knots that doesn't look pretty, but stays together pretty well.
See, and I know a lot of people use a loop knot, and this is just me, but I use a Norman fast clips on all my crankbaits and my top water. So I take the split rings off. So I guess, that's a fail point. I've never had one fail, knock on wood. I'm sure it'll probably happen eventually it'll happen. But I do that, and I guess because it has that little bit extra space, I think in my head I don't need a loop knot because it lets it move. But yes, I don't know if that's true or not, but maybe a loop knot and the Norman fast clip, because I usually use one top water rod almost all the time, and one or two crankbait rods, and so I can just swap out my different crankbaits pretty quick without having to change anything. So
yep. That's the thing with kayak fishing, though. Like you're limited to a certain amount of rods, so you're always, I want to try this bait. I want to try this bait. So you've got to, be efficient with your knot tying for sure.
Yeah. I know they use different clips, so I'm not saying that's
Yeah.
all be all. That's
Oh yeah, I mean the clip thing, that's a great idea too.
just one I use.
I ran tie knots now.
What?
That I ran out of all my clips, and I haven't used them since the beginning. I just tie knots.
Yeah. Okay, so this next one, I think I'm sure we all use fluorocarbon, but fluorocarbon lure, I'll start with that one. And I haven't been using this one that long, maybe just I started this year. I think last winter I really started trying to think about knots and trying to improve the ones that I use. And I went to a double Palomar knot. I'm not double Palomar, which I was going to say that with braid. I've never tied a double Palomar knot. I don't know why you'd need a double. I know people do that, but with fluoro to lure, I use the double San Diego jam. And it's almost like you double put the line through like a Palomar, through the hoop and then back. And it's almost an improved clinch. Instead of down, you go up. So you had 3 tag ends. I think Swindle Tiles does something like that, like a similar knot. But yeah, double Palomar, double San Diego jam. I've never had a problem with it. Man, I used to use the improved clinch like a lot of people, that's what you learn. And yeah, I've never had one fail yet. Again, knock on wood, I'm going to be doing that a lot. But double San Diego jam, that's really been a big improvement all over my old knot. Chuck?
Yeah, I use that G-Man knot too, but from the best I could tell on that YouTube video, it wasn't quite the San Diego jam, and it was just like a regular clinch knot, but it was doubled over. So that's what I use, and I call it just a double clinch knot, because it's not an improved clinch knot where you go through the hole and then back up through the top loop that you made. It's just straight down and pull. But yeah, that again, I used to only use the improved clinch knot, but I was honestly having problems like breaking off like 12 and 15 pound fluoro. I've gone to that double clinch knot. I guess I think he calls it the double shindo wrap around the barn 3 times knot or something, But yeah, that's what I use, that G-Man knot.
I'd be curious to see what the difference is between his and the double San Diego jam, since you double up on it.
Yeah. Well, like you said, that the San Diego jam, you go up the line with the loops, and on his, he went down, like going toward the lure, and then through the hole that you made at the top of the lure or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the best I could. I might be tying it wrong. I don't know, but it works for me, and I can tie it fast, and haven't had any issues since.
There you go, Nick.
Oh yeah. So for me, anything that's got like an eyelet, I just tie a polymer knot just because it's quick and easy. And if you got to change them out real quick for whatever reason, limited on rods. But for like spinner baits, so I'm talking like if it's got an eyelet, that's what I'll usually tie. But if it's like a spinner bait, something like that where you can't just tie a polymer knot. Like usually, I'm thinking. I guess I don't know the name of the knot, but I think it's basically a clinch knot, but I double it. So I wrap it around twice, put it up, back through, twist it, run it down through the bottom, and then pull it back through the loop and tighten it down. I've never had one break off. And two months ago, I caught like a 40-pound catfish. Didn't even have a problem. 17-pound fluorocarbon. So.
Well, here's another question. What do you have a particular brand of fluorocarbon that you use?
Yeah, so for me, I mostly use P-Line Tactical. I've
never used that. I've heard it's good though.
It's got great knot strength, and I've used it probably the last 4 or 5 years. No, well, yeah, about 4 or 5 years. Before that, I went through all different kinds of fluoros and had problems with knots and stuff like that, and maybe it was just my knot tying got better, but I just stuck with the P-Line Tactical fluoro.
Yeah, Chuck.
When I first got into fluorocarbon, I think this is everybody's like entry is Seagull Red Label. It's pretty strong. It's a little stiffer than other fluorocarbons, and you learn real quick that you need to get a better fluorocarbon, I guess. So now I just
frays a good bit too.
yeah, it frays and it'll kind of split up the line a little.
Yeah.
So now I use Invisex on anytime I use fluorocarbon, like 90% of the time, it's going to be Invisex. If I'm flipping, I'm using 20-pound Tatsu. But yeah, Invisex, I ordered a bulk spool today on Amazon, and if you want to get it cheaper than anywhere else, you can literally go to Amazon. I think I bought a 660 yard spool of 15-pound for $40. I mean, so can't really beat it. And I think the 20-pound is $50. So,
Dang.
but yeah, that's what I use. It's you can get it anywhere. And yeah, it's been good for me. It's a lot more supple than the Red Label. But that's Invisex is 90% of the time. That's what I'm using.
I'm the same way in BizX. I've been using it since college, like 2012 or 2013 is whenever I first started using it, and I've been using it ever since. I've used it. Sunline's great too, and I use Sunline braid, but well, for the small spinning reels, I use Sunline braid, which I'm sure Seagar has a good one too. It's just what I've used, but yeah. So, and for braid, I'll say that too. I bought some. Talking about Swindle, I bought some 50-pound braid from Swindle like in 2013. Whenever Darian Craig, the guy who does the Darian Can Fish, his YouTube page, like, and he sells y'all sweet tea. Well, back in the day, he used to be Swindle's assistant. Whenever I went to college, and I think he was fishing college for a year. This might have been 2014, but he was fishing for UAB for a year up here in Birmingham. I think that's where he fished for a year. But I bought Swindle like pros whenever they stop selling stuff, whenever they just have old stuff or they're changing brands or whatever it is, new sponsors, they sell a bunch of stuff. And I bought a bunch of stuff from Swindle. I just had to retire a real old Quantum Smoke I had because I finally wore it out. That Chuck cleaned for me, but it blew up too many spools. I couldn't use it anymore.
I made it too fast.
Yeah. But that thing, it was done. But it lasted a long time. But I bought thousands of yards of 50-pound vicious braid from Swindle, and I still use it to this day. I still have probably 1,000 yards of that vicious braid. And I'll tell you what, vicious fluorocarbon I used back then. I bought some from them too. That was not good, not even close to being acceptable. But the braid I got, that vicious braid, man, it's been great. I use 50-pound braid on every technique except for my spinning reels. I use it for frogs. I use it for swim jigs. I use it for punching. Because I've even with punching a 2-ounce weight down in Florida, I've never broken off. Again, I'm knocking on wood. I've never broken off on 50-pound braid. I know 65 is like the number everybody's used to, but yeah, that 50-pound braid, man, I use one kind of braid and I've used it for everything. Still using it, and it still lasts. That vicious braid, man, it's good.
I don't even know what braid I use. I can't remember what I put on my spool. It lasts so long. You just buy like whatever, and then it just stays on there. I think I use 40-pound and 50. That's about it.
Yeah. All right. So since we're talking about punching and flipping, we'll start with you this time, Chuck. What kind of knots do you use for punching and flipping?
So I do snell. I snell on both flipping and punching with braid and fluoro. But it's not because of the reason that everyone thinks. Everyone says it's because of the kick up of the hook that you want to snell. In my opinion, it is not that reason. To me, the physics doesn't make sense. If it kicks up or not, the angle of that hook coming, out of the fish's mouth, it will grab on to meat somewhere. But I tie it because it protects the knot. Because I used to tie, that same that double clinch knot on my flipping setups, and I would break off every now and then. It was cut because my weight was hitting that knot so much, and it would eventually just fray it and break it. So that's why I snell. It's because of the knot protection, not really because of the kick up
on the hook, not the knot.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. But yeah, so yeah, I'm a snell guy.
I think the snell kind of like came out whenever we were in college because I
It
fished
did.
Montebello while you were at Auburn, and I've just been using it ever since. I don't punch that much, so it's. Do you use it for flipping too?
Yeah. Sometimes if I'm flipping a half ounce or heavier, I'll snell. But 3/8 and below, I won't snell.
See, I've never done it for just fluoro before.
But
Yeah, I mean,
I remember learning how to tie a snell at the hotel room at Seminole whenever Auburn was down there. So, or no, I'm sorry, it was Okeechobee. It was Okeechobee.
yeah, I
That
think
was
we
my,
were both at that event together.
yeah, that's
And
where I learned how to snell.
yeah, we were punching with a D bomb, and my partner caught a 9 too during that tournament. I
Yep.
got to net it. Yeah, yeah.
At least
Nick,
you were part of it.
yeah, something. Nick, how about you, man?
Yep. So for punching, I definitely use this knot. For like flipping, I use like it's like a double polymer because of what he was talking about with the weight going up and down. So doing the polymer by itself, I just wrap it around twice before I go back through, and then pull it around because it makes a double high. So when it's hitting that knot, it's only hitting the top part, and I can have to worry about that bottom part staying together.
Okay. I've heard people starting to say, it seems like snelling was the deal and it has been for a long time, but now I'm kind of hearing some other people saying not snelling is kind of making a comeback. So I guess we'll see. Everything has trends, and I don't see any reason why you wouldn't do it, but man,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Don't punch. There's not a lot to punch around here in
Yeah, North Carolina.
yeah, just not this part of North Carolina.
But in the summer, I punch a little bit here, but it's usually not something I do. I mean, I'll flip a lot, but it's not something I do a lot here either. I mean, we go to frogs and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
even
I'll
on
punch
Gunnersville and all that.
pads. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Dan.
No, even on Gunnersville and all that, where there's more grass than there is down here on the Coosa, I don't really, I don't punch that often.
Yeah, with us being down here, we're fishing water willow
Yeah.
more than any other grass. There's a few lakes around here that's got some pads. Bankhead. There's a bunch of pads over there. But yeah, I mean, sometimes I'll punch pads, but most of the time you can just get by with flipping those too.
Yeah. I think whenever I was in a boat, I punched a lot more because you just have the higher, it's easier to do in a boat for sure. But
Yep.
yeah. All right. We'll move on to the next one. Sorry about a little change there. There we go. Had the whole background changed if you're watching. Next up, we have, don't have too many left here. Leader. I guess this is going to be the big one where everyone has a strong opinion. So for a leader from whatever it is, fluoro, or I guess you could use mono, but fluoro to braid, what are y'all using? Nick, we'll start with you on this one.
I just use the Albright knot. That's what I've always used. Really quick to tie. If for whatever reason I use like 30-pound braid to 12 to 17-pound leader, usually depending on what
Wow. Okay.
So if I'm throwing like a shaky head and it gets stuck on a dock or whatever, it'll break off. Usually where that knot is, which is kind of like dumb, but at the same time, I don't know. I just would rather break off that knot than have the braid get stuck somewhere on there and whatnot. But yeah, so that's the knot that I generally use, and it's really quick to tie. So if you do break the leader off or you run out of leader, you can just clip it, do a couple loops back, and pull it through, and you're good.
See, I don't do I don't tie any leaders. I know some people for heavier line. I know some people who do braid with a little bit of fluorocarbon for flipping or a lot of different techniques. But I really only use leaders for spinning reels, and I always use 12-pound braid to either 6 or 8-pound fluoro. I stick with pretty light line for all my stuff, either Neds or shaky heads or Nikos or whatever. I like light line, but I've been using Alberto forever. Again, since college, I haven't had a problem. I can't remember a time. I was thinking about it. I can't remember a time when I've ever broken off at the knot on Alberto. And because maybe it's because I use such light line, I know people complain about it gets stuck in the guides or it stops in the guides. I don't have that problem because maybe because the line I use is so small, is such small diameter that I don't ever have that issue. But yeah, I've been using Alberto forever and so easy to tie. And I know there's arguably, let's say arguably better knots, but just being able to do it on the water and not having an issue, that's why I'm sticking with it for now. Maybe that'll change eventually. Maybe Chuck is going to convince me.
Yep.
What do you use, Chuck?
So it sounds like we use all 3 different knots. I use the FG knot.
Yeah,
Yep.
I don't know, fancy.
No, I wouldn't say fancy, but I mean, you know what it stands for. You know, it stands for effing good knot. So you know that's the main reason. But yeah. It honestly it takes a little longer to tie. I think I have mine down to a minute where I'm fully done with the knot, ready to fish. Um, but yeah, you know, during the whole lockdown phase, I literally would, you know, okay, hopefully my boss isn't watching, but when we had some downtime, I would just practice in the office tying the FG knot over and over and over again until I got comfortable with it. Um, but yeah, for me, uh, or I guess for the people who are listening or going to watch, if you want to learn how to tie the FG knot, Seth Fider probably has the best FG knot tying video that I've seen. He actually adds a little bit of a touch at the end, and I love doing this. It makes so much sense, and it makes it where your knot doesn't come unraveled or get hung up in your guides. You actually take a little Bic lighter and kind of melt the braid where you finish it off at, and you have no issue with the knot coming undone or getting hung up in the guides. So that's kind of what I've been doing, and I tried flipping and playing around with baitcaster braid to leader, and I still do it a little bit, but it's just I don't know if it's not really my favorite thing to do. But I'm still kind of testing with it, and it's okay. Um, in certain techniques, I don't mind doing it, but yeah, I tie the FG knot.
FG. I knew so.
Yep.
I knew one of y'all was going to say FG. So, man, I even tried it. I think I even watched the Seth Fighter video.
It's a good one.
See, maybe because you're an engineer, you can, you have the spatial
Awareness.
Yeah, spatial.
Well, I know when I'm gonna braid my daughter's hair with an FG knot. So
I was a political science and business major, and I don't have a lot of that in me. So yeah.
it just takes a little patience, it kind of contradicts what you want it not to be. You want it to be super fast, but you also want to be confident in your knot. So that's what I'm confident in. I used to tie the double uni knot, especially on spinning setups. I could tie that thing in 10 seconds and I'd be done.
See, I can't tie that either.
Yeah.
I think I tried that one before too.
Yeah.
I use braid to leader on pretty much everything, but spinning or not spinning, but like spinner baits and chatterbait setups, stuff like that. Any kind of moving bait. I use
Cranking.
No, crankbaits, chatterbaits, all that kind of stuff. I use braid to leader on my buzz baits and like top water walking baits and stuff like that. Just because when you set the hook on a fish on the setups I have, man, they just stay pinned down. I hardly ever lose fish when I hook them.
Yeah, you've got those nice rods.
Yeah.
He does. We've seen them. He's got the high dollar stuff.
It was very nice.
Yeah, and they're super sensitive, so you can feel 30, 40 feet down. You can feel a little fish pecking at the braid to leader setups on like a Carolina rig, a jig, anything like that. I mean, I know a lot of people just wait for the weight, but I like feeling the fish like pick it up, and I'm like, oh yes, is he going to take it? Oh, he's got it, and then just set the hook into him, and they stay pinned with the braid to leader.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll say it. I'll admit it. I think I'm the last person. I still use mono on my top waters. Yeah.
Yeah, you can do a little like I've done like a 2.5 foot mono leader on sometimes, but
Oh
honestly,
no,
like
I use the whole thing mono.
oh yeah,
But
well
but
hey that's
because because I know this about myself, I don't have it in me to wait. Like I have to frogs. I can. It seems like I can do it better with a frog, maybe because it's in the grass and I'm focusing so hard. But but yeah, on any time it's on. I just can't. I just can't do it.
Yeah,
I'll pull the hook out of them. You know.
yeah. The top water, I use the P-line top water line for like the top water and walking baits because like a copolymer, so it's like
mhm.
yeah, it's like whatever the interior is, and then it's got a like a fluoro outer, but it stays floating, which is what I really need for top water. So
See, I want to use that top water line. I'll definitely have to check that out. Maybe that'd be a good compromise. You know. Somewhere in between.
yeah, it's got a little bit of stretch too. So if you got like buzz baits and stuff like that, they stay pinned even better.
There you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know it's crazy, but I use mono on my. I throw a lot of buzz baits. That's maybe my favorite lure. I use mono for that too.
Yeah, the worst thing you can do with buzzbaits is throw braid.
Yeah,
So, yeah, it does not work. I tried. I lost so many fish. I remember being on Gunnersville and I bought the. It's like a toad toter, not toad toter from Greenfish, but the whatever
Top
the
toad.
the dirty jigs, the Scott Canterbury buzz bait. I used that when I was throwing it with braid. Man, I lost so many fish. That's whenever I went back to mono on my top waters. That was the reason I did it.
right.
All right, so not too many more here. I guess that was a big one. Everyone's trying to figure out. So I don't know if we're ever going to come to a consensus on anything. It's just going to be, well, Chuck made a dang good argument on that. If you take enough time, you can figure it out. But or me or Nick, who knows? Maybe you found a new knot today. That double San Diego jam, though, I'll put that up against anything. I did post a video recently of this. I think they're South African of the toit. I'm gonna say it. It sounds ridiculous. Toit knot. That's how they say it. TOIT. Toit knot.
Toy
Yeah, and
like a
they
toy
did.
guy.
It looked like pretty scientific testing. Like they had the whole machine that pulls them apart and all that. And they said that the new knot that they made is the best fluorocarbon, the best knot there is. I don't know about that. I haven't
So
tried it. I can't tie it, but I'm sure you can, Chuck.
no, I have heard about a knot though, and let your viewers know if they want to learn how to tie any of these knots. Sunline's website probably has the best like knot tying tutorial videos that I've ever seen. So yeah, Sunline. I don't know what the exact website is, but just type in Sunline knots and it should come up in Google. But they have one called the tornado knot, and it's supposedly like some super duper, fluorocarbon knot. So I don't know. I haven't tried tying that one because the G-man knot hasn't done me wrong, and I'll keep tying that one.
I'll say I got my double San Diego jam. I got that from Bradley Hallman. So if you're
Oh yeah, I remember seeing his video too.
yeah, check out his. That's where I got it.
Yep.
Oh. Okay, I was looking at something. Mark had said something. He might get in and it'd be like right here at the end.
He's got the power hour.
Yeah, right at the
Name your
last.
knots off.
He'll jump in. If not, we'll get him in on another show. I love the goat whisperer. So yeah, I guess we'll talk about any other ones. Do you have any other knots that you use? I know Chuck, you had said you use like 11 different knots or something, right?
No, not that many. I have 6 knots though, and we've talked about 4 of them so far. Well, I use the Palomar. Don't get me wrong. I use it for drop shots. So I tie a Palomar knot just like everybody else does for the drop shots.
See, I use that the G Finesse spin shot hook.
Oh yeah,
It has a little swivel on it, so I don't ever have to do the. I was having a problem with line twist. That's why I went to that. But yeah, I don't use it.
and the only reason I don't use the Palomar knot for like my regular fluoro setups is I always feel like I never tie it right. Like when I pull it, I don't know if my lines are crossing over or what, but it's just like I always get like a little like kink at the bottom, and I don't know. I just don't feel good like when I tie that, and it doesn't cinch down just right for me. So yeah. But I do use it for the drop shot. Supposedly you can tie like a uni knot, or there's an Aaron Martin's knot. I've tried doing that one, and I don't even know how he does that one. He can do it with like one handed supposedly, but I can't do that. But yeah, and I have one more knot, and I think everyone has this knot, but it's just overlooked. But it's the arbor knot. To tie,
What is an arbor knot?
you have to, you have to spool your line up, right? So the knot that you tie onto your spool is the arbor knot, And I don't. And some people use just an improved clinch knot on there, and whatever knot is that you can make work is fine. But the technical knot for the spool is the arbor knot, and that's what I tie.
I'll have to look that up. I've always, like just an overhand knot, like how you start to tie your shoes. They go over each other. I just do that twice.
Well, the thing about the arbor knot, it makes it tight. It makes it tight on the spool. So when you start spooling it up, you don't have any slippage or anything like that.
Just gets tighter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty particular about reels that have the holes in the
spool.
In the spool. Yeah, spool. There you go. I hate reels that don't have the holes in the spool where you can put the line through. I know some of them have like some kind of, material, like a plastic material, so it kind of, if it doesn't have holes in the spool. That's just me. All right, Nick, I'll have to look up arbor knot though. So
it's super easy to tie.
Yeah, Nick, how about you, man?
I use the San Diego Jam for like big swim baits and stuff like that because you can't break it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a pretty knot. It's very durable for bigger baits.
Yeah, that's the only bad thing about tying like the doubled over cinch or clinch knots. It leaves 3 tag ends. Mm-hmm. So if you're fishing a lot of grass, it will get hung up, in some of the grass. But if you put a bobber stop in front of your knot, that can kind of prevent, a lot of that grass getting on there. That's a Greg Blanchard special right there.
He does. I've never done that, but yeah, I've seen him do that.
Yep.
I've seen some other people do like it's way off subject, but like putting clackers above like weights on punching. I know that was like a thing down in Florida. I've never done that, but it's a lot. I'm just thinking like you were saying above the knot, but yeah, that's something else I've seen people do.
Yeah.
So like a Texas rig that's got a bead on it instead of just okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. You know.
A little bit more sound.
Yeah. Calling them up.
Yep.
Maybe a little bit of red, a little bit of flash there. I don't know. It'd just be a Carolina rig, the bead, right? I guess. I don't know.
I had a buddy who would flip with that, like with the bead on the knot, and what he would do is he would reel it like up over a laydown, but not all the way over, and he would just shake it right there, like on like a branch sticking out. And dude, I saw him catch so many fish doing that. I don't know why I don't do that, but yeah,
that's an awesome idea.
Yeah,
because it's just like a little crawfish, like hanging on a limb or whatever, and they'll come up and kill it.
Yeah.
See, some juices are given away on this first show.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's it. There's no reason to hang out. I don't tie any other knots. That's it. But yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate y'all being on. I have no idea how these shows are going to go. It's all new, something different. And some shows are going to be shorter, some be longer. I guess we could talk about go for 2 hours about some subjects, but we covered pretty much all the knots. Yeah, if you have any questions, I'm sure you can message any of us and we'll let you know maybe a good video or somewhere where you can find it that maybe we had or yeah.
I got one more thing. So anytime you're tying fluorocarbon, and honestly any line, before you cinch it down, always wet your line.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, you will be breaking off, constantly. So yeah, I wet my, if I tie mono, I wet it. I wet my braid. It's just out of habit now for me. So everything gets wet, and then I cinch it down.
Cool. And yeah, any show we want to give y'all a chance so people can find y'all online, or any sponsors, anybody that makes fishing easier for you. Nick, we'll start with you, man.
Oh wait, sorry, say that one more time.
Yeah, where can people find you online, and are there any sponsors, anybody you want to shout out?
Oh yeah. So I used to do YouTube stuff, like edit, pretty hardcore editing and stuff, but I kind of got away from that since this year's been really busy. But you can find me on YouTube at Roddin and Reelin, and I'm on Instagram. I just haven't been active this year, but there's stuff from last year and the year before. But once I get settled in with the baby after September, my wife's parents are coming to help take care of that, and it'll open up a little bit more time next year. They're gonna be here a year. They're coming from China, so
Wow.
my wife is Chinese, if anybody needs to know.
Okay.
So yeah, they're gonna come, so that'll open up a little bit more opportunity, but I'm still gonna be going to school. I plan on over the next 3 months, well, until September, the next few tournaments to the ones in August, I'm gonna film and try to get those uploaded and do a lot of electronics learning stuff with people, because I spent a lot of time doing that.
Yeah, you have live scope, right?
Yeah, I definitely. I basically got it like the week it came out and put it on my what did I have? Oh yeah, the Jackson FD, the Kusa FD. I had it on there. It helped me win a couple tournaments, but definitely want to give like a shout out to Queen City. I know you hear me say it a lot, but man, if Vinny and Queen City wasn't around, I probably never would have gotten into kayak fishing. I mean, I'm very competitive, and I like to find competition in hobbies and stuff like that, whether it's racing down a racetrack or fishing or freaking softball tournaments or card poker. It doesn't matter. I'm just competitive all the time, and I just like to compete. So Queen City definitely helped me out a lot, get into something I really like to do, and to help other people get into it and learn a lot from the same stuff I do. So.
And they're like the biggest grassroots trail in the country. I mean, they're massive.
Oh yeah. So when I first got into Queen City, 2016, I think was when I first fished. It was just hey man, come and check it out. I fished like a team event up there, and there weren't a lot of people, but he was like, yeah, come back in. I think it was February. I showed up February 2017, 16, 17. I can't remember exactly which year, but my first tournament, I mean, there were 93 people that showed up on Lake Norman, and I had a blast. I caught like one fish the whole day, but it was fun. And, over the last 4 years, I've learned a lot. And I mean, I'm still learning, but yeah, I mean, I think Queen City's averaging like 100 plus people right now. I know the summer bogs down a little bit just because it's so hot, but I think we had 140 people or something, 150 people, Queen City, 157, something like that at the Hartwell event, which is like huge for grassroots. So,
Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks, man. Appreciate you being on. We'll go ahead and let you go.
Okay.
See you, Nick.
See you.
Later, Nick. All right, Chuck. How about you, man?
Well, I honestly really don't have any like personal sponsors. I have, I'm on the KFL Alabama Hammers, so we have our team sponsors, which are the Yak Shack. They're a big part of our team. We have Gills, and you'll have to help me, name some of these off. Redline Lures,
Stinky Balls.
Stinky Balls.
Stinky Balls catfish bait.
I still haven't got my
balls. Go get some.
Yeah, I still haven't got mine though.
Yeah, Nate's Custom Baits, Redline Lures.
Yeah.
I think that's it. We have and Paddle and Fin.
Yeah. Of course, Paddle and Fin, man.
Podcast sponsors us, so yeah, there you go.
But I mean, honestly, gotta say a huge shout out to my wife. She's been off work for a while now after having the baby, and she takes so so much good care of her, and we've had family and stuff come over too. But she's been awesome, an awesome mom, and I think I've been all right as a dad, so far.
I'm sure
But
you've been great.
she I would say tells me to go fishing, on the weekends. She's like, I want you to do good in your tournaments, go fish, I'll watch over her today and all that stuff. So huge shout out to her. Without her, I probably wouldn't even be here, honestly,
And I'll shout out Pilar too. I appreciate her letting you out to go fishing with us.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. I tell her I'm fishing with Dan, and she's like, "Oh yeah, you go fish with Dan all you want to."
He's
She
such a
gave
nice guy.
he gave me Scruffy, so.
There you go. Well,
But
cool.
yeah.
You know what? I never get to do this, but I'm gonna shout out my sponsor since it's our first show.
Yeah, man, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I'm lucky enough to. I mean, because I do a podcast, not really for my fishing abilities so much.
No, shut up.
But at X Zone Lures, man, I love their baits. The tails and the crawls float. That's awesome. Bio Power. I have 2 of their batteries. They're awesome. They just sent me a new. I lost my charger, and they sent me a new one. You have Bio.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even sponsored by them, but dude, I have their 30 amp hour. I mean, I really can't compare other batteries, but I can run my Garmin for like 3 or 4 days straight, and I won't have any issue. But yeah, those guys are awesome, man, for sure.
And they don't promote a lot, but I know the people that have them. No, I've never heard of anybody having a problem with them. So
I haven't either.
yeah, I mean, really, they've been around a long time. They make great batteries, and even if I didn't, if they didn't help me out, I would still buy their batteries. Like
For
seriously.
sure.
They
I mean,
are,
that's what I did.
yeah. And yeah, who else? Summerland out. Appreciate them. They're a local shop in Columbus, Georgia. If you want an Old Town or Hobie, yeah, Jackson, they will ship to you anywhere in the country, and they probably have them in stock, like the Big Water 132, which is the Old Town Predator. If you're looking for one and you can't find it, or a Hobie that you've been looking for, holler at them. Look on their website, Summerland Outdoors. They probably have them in stock, and they'll ship it to you. And you don't have to wait months to get a kayak like some people are. Just order it; they'll send it to you, or go get it and stop by and say, "Hey, at my house, I'll take you fishing." And last but not least, Yak Gadget. They make great products. They're coming up. They're making new stuff every day, and they are awesome. I won't talk about my sponsors, but yeah, I have like a good group of companies I'm working with, and I really do appreciate them, and they're all
Yeah.
up. Yeah. So, I mean,
I've got.
Sometimes you have companies that you're like, they're okay. They give me some free stuff, and that's cool. But no, the 4 companies I work with, I'm like, I could not be more blessed because they are all awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I got the Yak Gadget manual pole. I mean, it's a solid deal for sure.
Yeah, I got their version of a black pack, which that was for so long, and now I've had both their crates, and they are the Yak Gadget crates. I'm not putting down Yak Attack, but the Yak Gadget crates, they're just better. I mean, I've heard Yak Attack's coming out with a new one, and I'm sure that'll be great trying to compete with Yak Gadget. But right now, they've got the market cornered on crates. It's better, I promise.
Yeah, I've got the black pack just because it came with my boat. If I had to choose one, dude, I've seen yours, man. That thing is legit.
Yeah, it's you're probably not going to get rid of the one that you have, and I understand that. But if you're in the market for a new crate, yeah, Gadget's where it's at. I'm just saying.
Get it?
Yeah, but thank y'all. I appreciate y'all, and we'll see you on the next one. And yeah, thanks for tuning in for the first show ever. Hopefully we'll have some interesting stuff here for you.
Dude, I think it was awesome, man.
Yeah, we'll have some cool stuff. Go and get real nerdy and geeky about some stuff. Like I've been wanting to do this for a while, like tides and what baits you should be throwing, but you're not throwing. I mean, we're going to get in depth on some stuff. So yeah, hold on tight, and we'll see y'all again next time. Thank you, and wear your PFDs. All right, bye.
Thanks for tuning in to another killer episode on Paddle and Fin. Don't forget to go check out our website at paddle, the letter N, and fin.com. Don't forget to check out the YouTube channel at Paddle and Fin. If you got a question, comment, want to hear from a future guest on a future episode, feel free to email us at paddle, the letter N, and fin at gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Paddle and Fin on Facebook and Instagram. Shout out to our show supporters, Angler. The Angler button and app just makes for a better time on the water and creates a virtual logbook for every fishing outing out on the water. Shout out to Rocktown Adventures, located in northern Illinois, for all your kayaking, camping, and hiking needs. Shout out to Jig Masters Jigs. When in doubt, get the jig out. Go to jigmasters.com